Hello, America, how are you? Welcome to Let's Talk Vex Talk, coming to you from the historic and ever so beautiful city of Haverhill, Massachusetts, where the bells of freedom shall toll forevermore. I'm your host, Stephen Differ, United States Marine Corps, and welcome to Operation Women Veterans Empowerment. And here today to help brief us on some of these issues pertaining to women's veterans directly is none other than the highly esteemed Viviana Marcotte from the Veterans Services Organization here in Massachusetts. And Viviana, we want to say thank you very much and welcome home.
Thank you, Stephen. Thanks for having me.
We're so thrilled to have you here today.
Thank you.
Now, Viviana is going to be talking to us about programs that are established for women's veterans throughout the Commonwealth of Massachusetts to help empower our female veterans to go above and beyond their call of duty that they have already served and now here in the home front. Now, Viviana herself is an Iraqi war veteran who, I believe it was Operation Iraqi Freedom you served
Correct.
in, and now you're back home, and you're doing all kinds of good proactive stuff.
Yep.
All right, Viviana, it's your time. Why don't you tell us what's going on, and let's rock and roll.
Okay. Well, as you may know, women veterans are the fastest growing segment in our military today. Women make up about 15% of our active duty military, and the VA's stats is actually has risen that number to about 25% in the year 2040. Women veterans are actually growing a lot more than male veterans. The population is definitely expanding. Mm-hmm. So for veteran service officers and other providers throughout the Commonwealth, I'm always reminding them that to be very mindful of the women veterans that they may be seeing in their offices, at the VA, at the vet centers, because our needs are very unique.
Unique in many ways. A lot of women veterans are raising families while they're in the service, mm-hmm. and now they're coming out and they're dealing with two issues.
Absolutely.
We also have women veterans who, for whatever reason, became somewhat traumatized. Mm-hmm. We have to deal with that issue in yet a separate and equal manner. Mm-hmm. How do we go about to make sure, first and foremost, that our women veterans feel safe coming to the VA for health care, and how do we get them to know that they're available to come forth?
That's a great question, and coming from my own experience, when I first came back, it was 2007, and I really didn't know much about the VA, and the VA was just starting their women's health program, so I wasn't very familiar with it, and it can be a very daunting experience coming back to the multitude of services that the state provides. So one of the ways that we tackle that is through the Women Veterans Network, and we strongly encourage every woman veteran, regardless if they're a combat veteran or if they're peacetime veterans, if they've even served for 2 years, to register and be involved in the network of the sisterhood, as we like to call it. Yes. We get calls from all over the state. Women veterans just are having a difficult time breaking through the VA, have claim questions, have health questions. So it's a really great resource for them to call in, and we can sort of break it down for them. We also provide direct assistance for them and their families, and also many of our steering committee members are women veteran program managers at the VAs throughout the state. So we do have direct connections with them. So where a veteran would come in and they would probably take a few weeks to be enrolled or be set up with the appropriate physicians and mental health clinicians, we can expedite that process.
And you do a little bit of a triage too in that steering committee, do you? To exactly see where the female veterans need to be? Right.
We do some case management as well. Of course, there's always HIPAA that's involved. So yes. Once I pass that on to them, I mean, that's up to the program managers at the VA to take care of the health portion, but we also evaluate anything else that they may need. I know you had mentioned child care, which is one of our top 3 issues that we're seeing at the network. It's very difficult, especially with this new generation coming back. Many are single parents. I believe it's about 12.5% compared to the 2.3% in males.
Well, that's 1 out of 8
that are right. So, not only do you have to come back and be, not nurturing mother again, the nurturing wife again. So you have the mental health aspect, but you're not taking care of yourself, and you're also worried about childcare. So many times I'll receive calls and, well, I can't afford childcare, but I can't also go to my job interviews to get the job to provide for the health care and to provide for the child care as well.
Child care is a big asset if given. Although there are many programs to provide child care, the female veteran who is trying to better her life sometimes needs child care in the evening time while they're going to different schools. They
Right.
get all this stuff that's going for them, but there's nothing coordinated directly. Now, do you do a coordination effort with the female veterans to sit down and see where they're at and how they can advance and a better standard for life, or are they just, you got to figure that out on their own?
We do meet with them, either if it's on the phone, if they're more comfortable, I do, or one of us meets them in person, and we go through, we look at their situation, and then we look at what the state can provide financially, what we can provide housing-wise, or I'll connect them to the VA if they haven't enrolled in the VA. Many women I meet don't even know that they are veterans, so that's a big issue that we've been trying to tackle as well. And it was actually more evident this year because I've received many phone calls from women who are currently serving active duty who thought that they weren't veterans, and they thought that they weren't able to come to the conference this weekend. So,
What constitutes a veteran as opposed to active duty?
well, it's the VA and many of the state laws say that it's about 180 days active duty. With the Women Veterans Network, it doesn't matter whether you received a negative discharge, or honorable discharge, if you've served under a year, we will still help you to try to find other resources. You're probably not going to be eligible for VA services if you haven't served active duty for more than that period of time, but there are other services within the state that we can connect you with.
You just told me that the Commonwealth of Massachusetts is not turning their back on any woman veteran at any length of time in service.
Absolutely not.
Isn't that wonderful, America? Here in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, under Viviana Marcotte's program, our women veterans are being taken care of at least 100% in the early intervention part of it.
Right.
After that, it's up to service time and different programs.
Right.
That's absolutely, that's what we need to hear.
We do.
We have too many, and I hate to say it like this, too many people that don't understand why they're a veteran, why they're not a veteran.
Right.
We understand combat veterans, and then some non-combat veterans who served perhaps and never left the States, and they will come out of the service and they think, well, I'm not a veteran because I never went to combat.
Right. Hear it all the time.
But the truth is I thought the same. Not that I wasn't a veteran, but I didn't realize I had all these services that I was eligible for.
Right.
And unfortunately, we go into the land of self-medicating. We go into the land of self-abuse.
Right.
It's not until we get a little old and a little wiser that we realized, hey, I could have done this and I wouldn't maybe have
Right.
been that way.
Right.
Now, today, we're doing the different. Today, you're getting out there, you're grabbing these girls, you're getting them in there, stand up for yourself, you took the oath, now we're taking care of you.
Right.
That is absolutely wonderful. Now, you have a Women's Veterans Conference that you I guess, you're all getting together and putting your brains together on how to make it happen?
Correct. We do this
Really?
every year.
Every year, one time?
Once a year. It's the Saturday before Father's Day of every year. This year it'll be in Dudley, Mass. from 9 to 3:30. And I strongly encourage every woman veteran to attend this. It's just a great way to network with your other sister veterans, attend workshops that have benefit information on the state and federal level. Our theme this year is Express Yourself, so there's a lot of fun things going on. Published authors are coming in and teaching us how to write creatively, and
Really?
a lot of great speakers involved. It's just a really great day. And we have something in November like that as well.
Now, Dudley, Mass., do we have transportation? Is there a shuttle bus from one of the train
There is
stations?
shuttling from the Brockton VA and the JP VA.
Okay, so they're going to shut, and any of the train stations that go out there, the commuter rail, is there any kind of thing linking that?
Unfortunately, because we have to travel around the state to
Sure.
give more veterans accessibility to attend our conference, sometimes this year we had to go out west. So last year we were at UMass Boston, which was really accessible.
Yes.
And next year we'll be at UMass Lowell, which will be accessible as well.
Well, that's wonderful. The Veteran Services programs that are throughout, we have more in Massachusetts than anybody. if there's a veteran out there, a female veteran out, who is absolutely transportationally challenged,
Yep.
can she rely on her local veteran service
She can.
officer to get to that event?
She can. Many veteran service officers do provide transportation to the event. In the event that they cannot, definitely call the Women Veterans Network and we'll try our best to accommodate. We do have a pool of women veteran volunteers that have volunteered their car at different locations to pick up the women veterans. So it's definitely a sisterhood and a network.
That's wonderful. I know up at the, I'm quite familiar with the Veterans Northeast Outreach Center here in the beautiful city of Haverhill, Massachusetts. We have a wonderful spring. We have
You
lots
do.
going on.
Yep.
We have, there was a program called Stand Down. We have a Stand Down up here in Haverhill. We also, the Veterans Northeast Outreach Center also took it one step further, and several times a year they have a Veterans Expo type thing. It's
Right.
like a mini stand down, has all the services for the new veterans coming out. They don't have to wait the whole year.
Yep.
Now, there was something up there, that's exactly how I got your information.
Oh, good.
It was put into the pamphlet box. They have a row of pamphlets. Somebody stuck a little circular sticker, window decal, on the elevator, which
Well,
I
that's
have to
good.
bring. I'm the cook. I bring up the food, and I seen that, and I said, let me call them folks. And that's how we got, because of the outreach. Had you guys not come up there, I wouldn't have even known so much going on. But we also have a situation with women veterans who are disabled at this point, need first floor units. We have a program, I understand you all have a program to help some of these women get these first floor units or something similar for housing, so they don't have to walk up and down the stairs. Not everybody, I was talking to them at the stand down, and they were telling me all these programs. I said, well, we need to get this information out there.
Right, absolutely.
Is there Facebook is so popular today.
It is.
Do you have a particular Facebook page for the Women's
We
Veterans
do.
Network?
If
And
they
that
go
gives
to-
constant updates and things
Yep.
of that nature?
It gives, every other day there's something new up there.
Isn't that
And
wonderful?
they can actually see what's happening nationwide with women veterans. So it's just a great tool that we love to use. It's facebook.com/MA Women Vets.
MA Women Vets. Now, we also have so many women veterans who went to a program, which I'm familiar with, called the Veterans Upward Bound Program,
Right.
before they get into college.
Right.
Now, some of the gals are coming in, they're getting the GI Bills, I'm going to school, and then they're not really equipped to go to school. How do we make sure that our women veterans that are not only are getting the other services, but they're able to go to this school and feel good about themselves? Do you have any programs in there that help dictate them or help them through school other than the child care? I would have to gather the whole program is a self-esteem program, is it not? Isn't that what you're all about?
It is. And we actually have, we're trying to spread it out more through the public colleges, which is different through the private, But basically every public college and university is going to have a veteran representative at the
Really?
schools.
Here in Massachusetts?
Here in Mass. And there is a student veteran coalition that does travel around the state and receives the feedback from student veterans as well. Because being in a classroom when you're a veteran, especially when you've returned, and you're hearing many different opinions
Yes.
and not very much support, it can be re-traumatizing at times.
That's where we get at a lot of our problems, traumatizing. I know when I was in the Marine Corps, we didn't issue you that broken ankle, get going. We hear a lot of that stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Now, we know that the gal's coming back. In the men's veterans world, unfortunately, there's a small amount of Marines compared to the Army and the other ones. But yet, when we go into these programs, there's an abundance of Marines that are in these programs. Per capita, it's shameful, really. Do we have the same thing with the female veterans? Are there more female Marines going through this program that you see, or?
Through the Women Veterans Network?
Yes. Is it more, or is it equal, or?
The female Marines are truly the few and the proud, is what we like to call them.
Okay.
So we do see more of Army and Navy, and then I believe Air Force.
So they're all
and
coming
anything
back.
else.
Now, I guess when they get in your program, unlike us guys, you know, who are in your program, the branch of the service is secondary.
Right,
The primary goal is to focus on the caretaking of our
Right.
female veterans.
right, absolutely.
Our daughters of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts need to know this information. If you're out there watching this show, please contact veteran service officers. Please contact your local VA if you must. Get a hold of the information and pass it to these young ladies. They really, really need it.
Yes,
We don't need to
absolutely.
get them go away and feeling alone. We need them
Right.
to get that can-do attitude and keep it within them. Because once you get away from the service, there's the used to be's. Well, I used to be with the guys. I used to be with the issues,
Right.
you know? And that's where the aloneness comes in and the
Right.
self-medication, self-abuse. So had we had some of these programs, or if we even knew about them, a lot of the folks wouldn't be so, I don't know if that's the word, but a lot of the veterans wouldn't be so despondent as we are today.
Right.
One of the big question of the day is, this is what I wanted to know about our lovely female veterans. We have a group of young women who've taken the oath and they went out there and now they're coming back. My question is, how do we make sure, particularly our inner city kids whose families changed while they were in the service, have addressings? And the reason I'm saying this is because if you're an inner city person and you're in public housing and you're the eldest daughter and you have two brothers, when you join the service, the public housing is going to take your family and reduce them from a 3-bedroom to a 2-bedroom. Now you're coming home, you're on your mom's couch, you just served in the served in the United States military. And now what do you do? How do we not allow this to happen? I mean, we can't have this. We need to.
Right.
How do we target them without being racist or ethnicist? Or how do we do it and actually
Right.
find out? Are you coming back to your bedroom or are you coming back to your sofa? How do we combat that and get it in there so these right away we're setting up for failure? How do we stop that failure setup and how can we get that particular question addressed before they even get out of the service? How do we know and how can we do that?
Well, the Commonwealth has a really great program, and it started a couple years ago. It's a reintegration and prevention program for housing. It's called SHARP. And what we have is peer specialists, so not post 9/11 and Vietnam era veterans that are out there in the streets seeking these homeless veterans and female and male. And we also have referral programs as well. So they'll go to the houses and they'll go and meet these veterans at a coffee shop or somewhere and say, okay, what's going on? What's your housing issue? Well, DTA isn't giving me much and I'm on a waiting list, but right now I'm on my, like you said, my mom's couch.
Sofa
And-
surfing, as we say.
Right, couch surfing. So what they do is they work with FASH, but we also have other resources so that we can pull together an apartment for them and we can give them first and last and we can evaluate their financial situation and see what the state can bring in and help them out and put them back on their feet.
Oh, that's
And we
wonderful.
also offer case management after that.
That's wonderful. That was always my biggest worry
Mm-hmm.
because I had known from speaking to male veterans, the fella said, well, my mom there was 3 of us and they reduced her and then I
Sure.
came home. Not even 18 months in the service
Wow.
and bingo, hurt his leg, gets a medical discharge, but not enough income to maintain a home.
Right.
And then the cycle went on,
Right.
you know.
It re-traumatizes.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Now, we have, I guess, in comparison to the rest of the country, the Commonwealth of Massachusetts is standing up to be counted for all of its veterans.
We do, yeah.
Are you the only women's veterans network in the country?
So I actually meet with women veteran coordinators, my counterparts in all 50 states, once a year. But from what I've seen, and I always report back, that we are the only state that has a Women Veterans Network. Many of the women veteran coordinators do it as a side job, as a volunteer, whenever they can. Many are also VBA or VA representatives that don't always, that's not their primary job again, but and they're not veteran themselves. So we do lead the nation in our services, and we spend more per capita than any other state in the nation on veterans.
Are you the first head of the Women's Veteran Network here in Massachusetts? Or?
I'm the second.
You're the second.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so very much.
I took over someone else's position.
Isn't that wonderful? Was that a woman or was that a man?
It was a female.
Oh, great. So now, how long have you been at this position?
About 5 years now.
You've been at 5 years. And we know the pamphlets are out there. I've seen some of the people get the help. I personally know, and that's when I've asked a few folks, we have some of the veterans with dogs,
Right.
service dogs. I got a letter from my doctor. I have what's called a therapy pet.
Yep.
There's a companion pet, you want a dog, you want a cat. There's therapy pet that helps a guy like myself have to be responsible for something other than myself.
Right.
And then there's the veteran who is the service dog. How do we make sure that the veterans, the females with the service dog usually always have a house? How do we know that there's so many female veterans out there that are in need of something like this? And if not, in fact, a service dog, a therapy pet, but they're able to go into housing without any stipulations. Some of these places, oh, I want $50 a month fee. And how do you make sure that the female veteran with the service pet doesn't pay a fee, a therapy pet doesn't pay a fee such as a companion pet? I mean, is there a program?
That's a great question. There are a lot of programs, and in our newsletter, actually, I interviewed a combat women veteran who went through Ziggy's dogs, and she was given a dog for PTSD for her symptoms. And at our conference this weekend, Needs is going to be there. So there's definitely been a very, very huge interest in service dogs and how to get one, how to apply for one, how to fundraise for one. And that's another thing that the State of Veteran Services can offer is the connection with these service organizations, but also to case manage and to speak to the landlords and explain that this isn't just a random person. This is a veteran that's under our watch and our care, that if they have any issues, they can work through the peer specialist and with the veteran, and that this is a service dog, and provide more education on what a service dog is.
And not charge
Right.
that extra fee, because we see it all the time.
Right.
Oh, pet's $25 more. This isn't a pet. You don't charge someone $25 more
Right.
with crutches or a wheelchair, and that's
Absolutely.
essentially what the dog is it not? Well, wonderful.
Right.
We also have, I have parakeets for the noise. I'm a first floor dweller, so I have the cars going by. I don't hear the noise out in the street because the birds are always chirping. So it's a
good.
little thing that my doctor went over with me, and now I have my pet therapy, and you have to build it in. I also have plant therapy, and we have to go through it. Now, because I got services from the VA hospital and Veteran Services, I do work 5 days a week. I'm a veteran who is what we refer to as semi-disabled. I have issues, but I'm not unwilling. We all the holidays, we do as much as we can. I also work with the Veteran Service offices here in Haverhill, Massachusetts, and they've helped me, and Brookline, where I first started. They've helped me, very, very much. Without the help of the Veteran Services, I wouldn't be sitting in this seat today asking you the questions to how to help the next person.
Right.
Unfortunately, when the war's over, the veterans don't stop coming. We're gonna
Absolutely.
we constantly come in here. We have several recruiting places here in Haverhill and in Lawrence. Ironically, most of them are in the inner city, right? So we get these kids going. We just had here in Haverhill, we had several male and female graduates join up in the armed forces. So they're most likely in boot camp right now, day 1, day 2, day 3. They just graduated last week. That's how I was. I graduated on on the 18th. On the 25th, I was in Paris Island. You know, we have a lot of that right now this time.
Right.
What do we do for the kids that don't make it and they come home? That made only 30, 60, 90 days. Do we have any kind of thing in Massachusetts to help some of these kids right now?
It's always difficult for these men and women who can't continue because of a service, something happened during boot camp or anything. 9 times out of 10, they do receive a medical discharge, and they do get some VA services for their health for that side. But again, if they were to reach out to me, because I have received phone calls, well, I didn't really make it past boot camp, so I'm not a veteran and I can't get VA services. We'll still help them. There are services out there, maybe not veteran-centered, but there are services that can definitely assist them.
That's wonderful. Now, one of the things is yourself, you're served overseas, so you're not just somebody who went to school and
No.
decided I'm going to do a few things.
Right,
You've got real lived experience, correct?
right.
Trying as it may be, you seem well-rounded, well-educated.
It took a lot to get here.
And that's the purpose of you being here today.
Yeah.
How do we make sure? We can't save everybody. We can only try. I can only save myself and help a little bit.
Right.
How could what? Of course, you're going to talk with the gals this weekend. But what's the steps that we're missing in order to offset that, to give a head start before we get into the alone factor and the used to be's? What's out there other than pamphlets? Real, tangible stuff. I know there's a group, RWB. You're familiar with them? The red, white, and blue people. They got these kids out kayaking and running races. You know, we have the programs that are out there for other, you know, the community reintegration program. I went to VA. We had a Dr. Marilyn McCoy come on up. I'm sorry, Megan McCoy come up and had a handful of us veterans to go through a VA program for community integration. We have a lot of people, unfortunately, we say, hey, let's go to the movies. And they're like, you know, that's $20. And I'm like, you know, when we were drinking and drugging, you didn't bat an eye, spending $150, and now we want you to do something $25, self-righteous comes in. How do we take that self-righteous away from our veterans and actually say to them, you have to be proactive in your proactiveness?
Well, that's always the main mission statement I try to get out to especially the female population, because we are so few, and the isolation also adds into further trauma as well. So we're always encouraging everyone to stay involved, and like myself, when I came back, I can remember I was just very not wanting to be anywhere, anything military related for a while. I just needed to decompress, and it was a really tough transition. But it took another veteran, actually a Vietnam veteran, who sort of talked to me a little bit and said, you know, you really need to look at yourself, better yourself, but then when you're ready, you need to also look into how you can pass that on to another veteran. And I think that's the main goal that we try to inform all our veterans that we work with, that you need to get okay with yourself and you need to address these issues and realize that you need help, seek the help, but then also maybe pass it on to another vet who needs it.
I'm so glad you came with this information for us today. Some of the things are coming on the screen, but I have to ask this question from the federal part of the VA. We have 2 issues. One is a veteran has a claimant. Then they move and they tell the VA that they changed the address. But none of us know that the VBA is a different organization than the VA, and then it goes somewhere else, and all of a sudden you're in the backlog and you can't do it. We need to be able to have a linkage between the 2. Secondly is, you know, the C-Box. They're around the community. They're around the Commonwealth. Every place has them. I know down, particularly in Jamaica Plain, there's behind the door, it says women's veterans. No, you know, no men allowed walking in there.
Yeah.
What about having a C-Box downtown Boston just for women veterans, one run by veterans, where there's no men involved? So these young girls that were traumatized by men aren't dealing with it. You can come into their own female clinic.
Well,
Is that a possibility?
One of the good things about some of the VAs right now is that they have isolated the women's clinic and they have moved it away from the main general waiting area, which I found to be very, very helpful and much
Yes.
needed.
That's what it is. Yeah.
So, you know, it's always a work in progress. I'm not the VA, but
Yes.
when we do meet with the VA reps and the Women Veteran Program managers, they're always, every month, they're always reporting something new. There's a women imaging center that's being built, and there's always accessibility to these clinics through another door where they don't have to go in through the main door. So
Saturday mornings, Women's VA Clinic at the VA. Open the doors Saturday from 9 to 12 and let these gals come in and get what they need, right? Once a month or something. We need to be able to protect our women veterans
Right,
to the best of my ability. Now, we're getting near the end of the show.
Okay,
I want to
great.
say thank you so much for being here today.
Thanks for
It's
having
been
me.
our pleasure here for myself, but I have to put a little disclosure out there.
Sure.
That, you know, my name is Steve. I am not a doctor nor am I a clinician. I like to say that the fine folks here at HC Media have given us our time for the veterans to speak of the issues, to get it out there. They're putting us on YouTube, they're getting us out there in the computer world. This is going throughout the whole nation. So even though we're speaking of, particularly here in Massachusetts, women veterans are throughout the country. We need them to go to their local VAs and check in and get the programs that they need.
Right.
Now, with that said, again, I'd like to say thank you and welcome home.
Thank you.
And I'd like to tell the folks at home, please be kind to everyone you meet, for they too have troubles. Until next time, thank you very much.